Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got line special guest, Aka Dragster driver Christine Chambless. How you doing, Christine?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So how'd the season go for you this year?
The season was going pretty well until we kind of abruptly ended the season in July when we had a crash at Heartland Park, Topeka. Um, so I guess the season wasn't quite what we hoped it to be.
Now, how bad was the crash?
It was pretty bad. So it was about 1,000 foot ish, 260 miles an hour. The car got lean when I shifted into high, and it detonated and caused some issues with one of the valve covers. The valve cover broke off and caused oil to go everywhere. So basically, I was just kind of along for the ride. So I hit one wall, went through the air, hit the other wall, and then the car flipped over upside down.
Well,
So
at least you're okay.
luckily,
Yeah, at least you're okay.
yes, I fared very well. I had some headaches, obviously some aches, pain, bruising, and then I fractured one of my hands. But other than that, I came out pretty good. The car, not so much, although it was salvageable, luckily. So we did have the car front halved already, and we have it home from Spitzer, and we're putting it back together right now.
Gonna have it ready to go by next season, huh?
Excuse me?
I said you're gonna have it ready to go by next season.
Yes, we will. The car's it's pretty close. We're still missing a few things because we obviously heard a lot of things in the crash. So we should have it ready to go by sometime this spring. So that's exciting, and it will be basically a brand new car again. So hopefully that can help us a little bit in the performance department for next season.
Awesome. Now let me rewind the clock with you, Christine. Ask how did you get into drag racing?
Um, like a lot of other people, got into drag racing through my dad. So my dad has always been into cars, racing. He started racing at a drag strip in Kansas when I was a kid. And back then when they started the Junior Drag Racing League, and I got started at 8 doing that, and here I am today. I raced that for about 8 years. I raced Top Dragster for a couple of years, and then got my license in the alcohol car when I was 19.
So with the junior dragster, were you pretty successful?
Yes, I was. We had a lot of success, and I got to race with my whole family. We actually had 3 junior dragsters at once. Both my little brothers raced junior dragsters, and my sister did after I was already out of it some. So it was a really good experience.
So now, what year did you start driving alcohol dragster?
In 2010.
So 2010 till now.
Yes.
So now, with the alcohol dragster, what's the quickest pass you've made with that dragster?
I think our best time is a 5:32 at 270 miles an hour.
Now, what track was that at?
That was actually at Topeka.
Now, do you race at Kansas International Dragway over there?
I did. Kansas International. Are you talking about Kansas City?
No, the city,
or Wichita?
the Wichita one.
Wichita. So I raced that track just in junior dragsters. So I never competed at Wichita with Top Dragster or the alcohol car.
So now, if you didn't have the accident this year, how many events were you looking to run for this year?
We'll probably do 5 to 7 regionals and 2 to 3 national events.
So how many did you run this year before the accident?
When the accident occurred, I think that was our 6th event of the year.
Now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
I would say my most favorite track is Vandermeer in Denver. It's a little bit slower, obviously because of the altitude, but it's been one of my favorite tracks forever. We usually do well there, and the track is just, everyone there is very friendly and just a really good time.
So now, when you go out racing with the Dragster, how many crew members do you have, and who are your crew members?
Okay, so generally we have my dad, myself, and then 2 to 3 other people. My crew kind of changes here and there, but a lot of times I have Scott McVeigh helping, who also has an alcohol funny car, and then my clutch guy is Zach Hampton, and he actually raced junior dragsters with me, which is how we met. And then I have some people who kind of help here and there, depending on what track we're at, or if my crew can make it. Some of the events are pretty far away, so sometimes we can pick up help closer to the track. And then I always have my mom there, and then my fiance, who also races an alcohol funny car, helps a lot as well.
So your dad is your crew chief?
Yes, he is.
So now, what was I gonna ask you? Do you have any drivers that were inspirational to you for drag racing?
I definitely think growing up, Shirley Muldowney was always very, very inspirational to me. And some of the other great drag racers like Don Garlitz, all those people were kind of who I looked up to growing up. So, and then my dad, he's been the person that has been, he's been the person that's made all this happen for me, my mom and my dad, of course. So it's, he's definitely a big part of that as far as being inspirational and setting me up to get to do this kind of racing, because it's a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of commitment. So I've been very lucky.
Now, do you have any sponsors?
Right now, my family's business, Chambless funds all of our racing. So that's something in the future I hope to get to work a little bit more on is finding some good marketing partners.
Now, for you, Christine, do you ever plan to dip into nitro at all?
As of Top Fuel?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, if the opportunity was to arise, I would, love to drive one. But as far as, racing nitro, it would take away, the racing that I get to do with my family. And I really love the alcohol class. So I will probably just stay racing top alcohol.
So now, what was it like for you when you were a junior dragster driver? What was it like for you to go down the drag race track for the first time ever in your life?
Oh, it was really awesome, and when you're a young kid doing it, it was something that I had looked forward to for so long. I begged and begged to get a car for years. I really wasn't even old enough when I started asking for one. So it was awesome and really nerve-wracking. But you learn pretty quick because they're pretty simple to drive. There's not a whole lot to it, and then especially when you're 8 years old, and then as you get older, it becomes more competitive with the bracket racing aspect of it. There's obviously a lot to learn about driving the stripe and things like that, but it was really cool.
So how was your first time experience driving an alcohol dragster?
I mean, it was awesome, really awesome. But I think I would almost describe it as the same, really exciting, but really nerve-wracking. Because with the supercharged car, there's so much to do as far as staging, swapping feet, shifting, in such a short amount of time that it was pretty nerve-wracking to be under that pressure of making sure I did everything right away, because if you don't, it won't end well.
Now, after all the years of drag racing, now what still keeps you passionate about doing it?
I think it's just a love for it. I think once you have drag racing in your blood, you just can't get rid of it. There's just the competition. It's, there's always new challenges with tuning the car, new places to go, racing with family and friends. It's just, I think all of this, the combination of things, and then just always wanting to go faster and to do better than I did the last time.
So you got a need for speed?
I do. I think I have since I was a little kid.
So what milestones have you reached so far in your racing career?
With the alcohol car, the best that we've finished regionally, which it used to be divisionally, is third. So that would be a goal this year, is to finish better than I have in the past.
All right. Now, what kind of advice would you give, like a young girl that's thinking about drag racing, maybe jumping in the dragster? What kind of advice would you give a up and coming youngster?
I think the first thing I would tell them is to not let anyone get them down, because I think that you put a lot of pressure on yourself as a new driver to do well, not only for yourself and for your team, but you don't want to look bad, and you are going to make mistakes, and there's lots of learning curves no matter what car you're racing, and it takes time to get better and to learn things. The experiences that you have driving are what makes you a better driver. So, don't let anyone or anything get you down. You're going to have times where you make a mistake or you could have done something a little bit better, but just, use that as fuel to become more successful versus letting it be discouraging, because it can be hard. You have to make decisions very quickly sometimes, and sometimes you don't make the best decision. So just staying positive and not listening to any negativity as far as getting you down, and to take advice when it's given.
So now, when you started drag racing, did you feel any intimidation being a female out there?
I don't know if I felt intimidation necessarily as just from being a female, but just from being a new driver and young. I mean, because when I started racing the alcohol car when I was 19, there were a few younger drivers, but there wasn't a lot. So I was obviously inexperienced, a lot younger, and than most of all my competitors. So I would say that was probably the biggest intimidation factor, and not really knowing what I was doing. because it just takes some time to learn how to drive one of these cars.
Now, did you get any advice from any of the other drivers when you started out?
Lots of drivers gave me advice. I would say Richard Putz, who isn't racing the alcohol class anymore, is retired from racing, but he was probably the most helpful and the most forthgiving with information. Definitely wanted to see me be successful and give me advice on, how to stage the car better or how to maintain the RPM while you're staging. Things like that, things he knew that were a learning curve. He was definitely right there alongside me, trying to help me and teach me, which was really awesome, coming from somebody who was already racing the class.
Now, on what track did you get your alcohol dragster license at?
I actually got my alcohol license at SRCA Drag Strip in Great Bend, Kansas, which has been my home track growing up. So that was pretty cool.
Now, who signed off for your license when you got it?
So Mike Newkirk signed my license, who had an alcohol funny car license, and he actually drove my dragster when I was pregnant with my son. And then Larry Truget, who I bought my first alcohol car from, was there to sign. And then the track manager at the time, who I believe was R.C. Williams.
Now, Christine, when you're out on the track, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
I don't know if I have any superstitions. Pre-race ritual, I just try to get my mind as clear as possible. I don't like a lot of talking. I like things to be calm, and then just kind of mentally going through all of my jobs in the car. That way I can be, ready for everything without having to think about it. And then just taking a second to kind of gather all my thoughts before I stage, and then that's that. I think staying calm and practicing mental runs is probably the most important thing for me.
Now, what kind of preparation goes into getting ready for a weekend of drag racing for you?
Well, there's all the prep work with the car, which, depending on how many races we are at, could be pretty basic or could be lots of maintenance as far as engine parts, pistons, rods, springs, everything. We keep track of how many runs are on every part and cycle them out. Then there's like the basic just maintenance of loading, unloading the trailer, all the packing. There's a lot that goes into it for every race. It's a lot more time consuming than I think most people realize.
Now, do you have any opinion on what happened with that situation with Steve Torrance?
I've thought about this a lot, and I think it's hard for me to have a huge opinion about it. I see a lot of people like on social media having huge opinions on what happened, which obviously we all seen the same thing on TV, which was obviously not appropriate. For anyone to put their hands on another person, not okay. I think for me to, beyond that, it's hard for me to say a whole lot because I don't know what conversation occurred before. As far as the staging goes, I mean, Cameron was within his rights. He was within the rules, and I mean, if Steve didn't like that, I mean, it is what it is. He didn't have to go in. But I definitely don't think that was okay, and I think that the way it was handled was also one of those things that it's hard to say, because unless you're on the inside, it's hard to know whether something was done on site or not. It wasn't until recently that there was obviously a public announcement of what his punishment was. But I just think it's hard to say. I know that as a driver, everybody gets amped up at times. So, I mean, I definitely don't think that that's an excuse for his behavior, but I've seen it happen lots of times.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean about seeing a lot of people talking about it on like Facebook, a lot of comments going back and forth. People, I actually saw people fighting about it on comments.
I have too. It's pretty wild, especially when sometimes what you see, there's so much more behind the scenes than what most people realize. But people have definitely gotten very passionate about the situation.
Yeah.
And I think that the reality is drag racing for everyone. You get amped up. It's such a passionate sport for everyone who's competing that people say and do things that sometimes they wouldn't normally do. Again, doesn't make it okay, but it happens.
Yeah. So now, do you run quarter mile or eighth mile?
Quarter mile.
Have you ever done eighth mile racing?
Junior drag racing, they run the 8th mile, but I have never done any 8th mile racing since I switched over from the junior dragster to top dragster to top alcohol.
So now your preference would be quarter mile, right?
And what?
Your preference would be quarter mile racing?
Yes, for sure.
Now, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from? Like your fire suit and all that good stuff. Where do you get all your stuff from?
All the safety equipment I have right now, I have a Simpson helmet. I have the Simpson hybrid system for the neck restraint. Simpson fire suits. I have Taylor belts, Simpson boots. So most of my stuff is Simpson.
So now, besides, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said it must have. I think it must have everything that I own as far as safety equipment worked so well in my crash that I definitely will continue to use all of those products.
Now, besides that one accident you had this year, have you had any other accidents?
I had another accident the season prior, but it was minimal compared to this one, and it was at St. Louis when we'd kind of been battling tire shake that entire season, so this would have been in 2018, and right at the hit, the car started shaking really bad, so I pedaled it quickly, and when I pedaled it, the car unloaded, and it snapped the steering column in half. So at that point, I was just along for the ride, and I hit the wall, and then I slowly skidded across the track and hit the other wall. But it didn't do any major damage. It just kind of ended. That was our last race of the season, so that was in October. So that was the first qualifier. So obviously I didn't qualify for the event, and we had to pack up and head home early. So that was a bummer, but some rear wheels and tires, some headers, and a few other little things, but nothing too major on that accident, and I was totally fine.
Well, knock on wood, Christine, that you won't have any more accidents.
hope so too. I think I've had my fair share the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think
Um,
you've seen enough bumping off walls now.
yes, I definitely have. I feel like I've been really blessed in the accidents that I have to come out safe, and the car's not been totally destroyed, because I know that doesn't always happen, and it's hard to come back when you destroy everything that you own. So I've been pretty lucky in the two crashes I've had the last 2 years.
Now, in alcohol dragster racing, do you have a greatest competitor out there?
I wouldn't say that I have a greatest competitor. I think, overall, the alcohol dragster class, where you have you have the blown cars, and then you have the injected nitro cars. It's a very, very competitive class. You have, some of the regional events that are 8-car fields. Sometimes you have 12 to 20 cars. So just overall, it's just very, very competitive. So there's some stiff competition in the class, and it's definitely not an easy class to be successful in. But it's challenging and it's rewarding.
All right, now I'm gonna ask you a few fun questions here now.
Okay.
Now, if someone were to come up to you and give you, I'll say, $800 million, and they asked you, Christine, I want you to build a brand new drag race track. Where would you consider building a new track, and what kind of features would you put into that new track?
That's kind of a tough question. Where would I put a brand new track? Well, I think that I would put it somewhere in the Midwest. I'll have to think some more about where. And I'd want to make it into a track that kind of livens drag racing up. A track that has lots of events to bring spectators in, and maybe I would make it 4 wide. People love that. Kind of sparks things up a little bit. And I'd have to live close so I could have access to testing for my own car all the time, because that would be very helpful.
All right, now.
And then just try to make it as safe as I could and have a really long shutdown. I think that's really important too.
Now, would you put any special activities for kids?
Oh yeah, I'd have to do that. I have a 3, soon to be 4-year-old, who is racetrack crazy. So definitely have to have. Sometimes I think, like a simple playground or something at the racetrack would be awesome. I know there's so many kids at the track, and just a place that they can kind of go play and take a break would be great. And the kids are the future of drag racing, so you got to keep them interested and looking forward to going to the track. So I know some of the national events that have, like Racers for Christ, will do things with the kids and stuff like that. I'd like to see more of those types of things.
Now, in your pit area, do you put any kids into the dragster?
Yes, I do. And the kids always love it. It's awesome for them, and it's awesome for me. I don't remember having any experiences like that as a kid. Of course, I was pretty shy, so maybe that's part of it. But just to see those kids light up and see how excited they are is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's the memory of a lifetime for them.
Yes, it is.
Just to sit in there and get their picture taken.
Yeah, and when you're a kid, it's just everyone at the track is, I don't want to say larger than life, but it's awesome to them. They look up to all these drivers, which I think is, you got to kind of be a role model when you're there as well for the kids that are out there and get them interested and have them walk away with something that they'll never forget.
Yep. So now, outside of drag racing, Christine, do you have any other hobbies?
Not really. Drag racing's kind of been my whole life, so I make some vinyl things sometimes on a vinyl cutter that I have, and that's a little bit of fun. I have worked in mental health for quite a while now, so that's something I've been pretty passionate about, not really a hobby. And then, so that's pretty much it. Drag racing's just been my whole life.
So now, if you and your fiance have time to go on a vacation, what do you guys have a vacation spot, like a favorite place to go?
The last couple of years we went to Florida. After the race season, just to kind of decompress and just relax, because we don't do a whole lot of that during the time of year where you would maybe go to a beach or something, especially by the time race season is over in the Midwest. It's pretty cool usually. So we like to do that. I guess Florida would probably be our vacation spot.
So what part of Florida you go to?
So usually we have went to the Gulf side, and then sometimes go to Orlando and do like Universal and those types of things.
How about Disneyland?
Disney World we went to for the first time with my son actually just this past September, somewhere in there. And that was pretty fun, too. I think that Universal is definitely better for adults, older kids. But Disney World was really awesome for my son.
All right, now, throughout your dragster career, have you won any trophies?
Lots of trophies. In the alcohol car, we've made it to the finals multiple times. We have not been able to seal the deals. That's kind of been a bummer. Something we're always chasing. So hopefully this year will be our year.
Now, as far as the sport of drag racing goes, do you have anything on the bucket list that you still want to, accomplish?
I'd like to win a regional championship. I'd like to win a national event someday. And then I like getting to see different tracks, go racing different places. So I think, every year I'd like to go to at least one new track, travel a little bit further, those types of things. So I guess that'd kind of be my bucket list. I'd like to win an event with my fiance. It'd be really cool to both win an alcohol dragster and funny car.
So now, what tracks are you looking forward to going to one of these days?
I'd really like to go to the Gators in Gainesville. And we've never been out to Vegas, so those would probably be the two tracks that I'm looking forward to, hopefully in the near future, and competing at.
Now, if you were able to do time traveling and go backwards in time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
The one thing I think I would do differently is I maybe would have taken some more marketing and PR type of courses in college to help me with that avenue of the sport, just to maybe get a heads up or a leg up on in securing marketing partnerships and those types of things for sponsorship. I think that would have been really helpful. But I don't know that I would change a whole lot else. A lot of the experiences that I've had racing, good and bad, have been good for me, good for my family, good for just learning and growing. And I would definitely still choose the alcohol class because I think it's just an awesome class.
All right, now, what is your favorite food you like to eat?
Mexican food. I love Mexican food, and I love chips and queso.
Now, do you cook?
I do.
So what's your best dish to make?
Oh, I don't know what my best dish is. I'd have to ask everyone who eats my food. I don't know, maybe some enchiladas, or I like to grill, so anything on the grill.
Does your fiance have a favorite food that you make?
I don't know if he does. I guess I'd have to ask him. He hasn't complained about anything I've made so far, so I guess that's a good sign.
What's your favorite beverage?
Favorite beverage? Probably Diet Coke.
Favorite movie of all time?
Oh, this one's kind of hard. Favorite movie of all time? I don't know. When I was a kid, it was Heart Like a Wheel, which is
Shirley Muldowney.
Yep, that was my favorite. Now, gosh, that's kind of sad that I don't have an answer. I will say I'm kind of a Harry Potter nerd, so I liked all the books and movies. I don't know that I would say it's my favorite, but it's definitely up there.
All right. So, what's your favorite music to listen to?
I like indie rock. So anything kind of in that genre, I'm into.
All right. Now, when you were growing up as a kid, what was your favorite cartoon to watch?
Favorite cartoon? Trying to think. Favorite cartoon. You're getting me thinking about things I haven't thought about in a very long time. Probably Hey Arnold. It's probably one of my favorites. Nightmare Before Christmas. Probably my favorite movie as a kid. Yeah.
All right. Now, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Now, are you a dog person or a cat person?
Dog person. Definitely dog person. We actually have 4 dogs right now. So we have a whole herd of animals. Dogs, anyways.
Most embarrassing moment on the track?
Most embarrassing moment on the track? I'm not sure what my most embarrassing moment would be. Probably we were racing in Denver one year, and we had a switch on the steering wheel where it activated the Leahy system that shuts the car off, puts the parachutes out, and all of that. And the tip of my glove hit the button, and the chutes come out, and I was really upset, and that was pretty embarrassing. That was probably one of the most embarrassing And then the second most embarrassing moment probably was when I crashed at St. Louis. I was really mad. So I was saying some obscene things, kicking the tire, and the Racers for Christ pastor told me he just heard and seen me, and he thanked God that I was okay. So that was pretty embarrassing to get caught off like that.
Now, what's been your fondest memory of your drag racing career?
I don't know if it's so much as a specific memory, just as it is getting to spend all this time with my family drag racing. My siblings don't participate like they used to, but now I have my son, and all the travel, the time on the road, working on the car, hanging out, just overall with my family. I think I've had so many good memories put together that I would have never had I not been drag racing with my parents. And then my son is really excited at the end of the track, and I really like that. It's awesome.
Now, when you're out at the track for a day of racing, do you eat regularly, or do you eat light on a race day and wait till the races are done to eat more food?
I think it really depends on our schedule. Because generally I get to be in charge of the food. So, I mean, if we have a day that we have, say, 3 runs in a day, we're definitely going to be eating lighter or something that you can get out of a crock pot really easy. I would definitely say our heavier meals are at the end of the day. Throughout the day, generally we eat lighter, especially when it's the middle of the summer, because you do not want to eat a heavy meal in the middle of the day when it's 100 plus and humid, and you're already, getting in and out of the car is pretty miserable. So you do not want to eat a big meal and then try to get in your suit and get in the car.
Now, if people are listening to the interview and they want to see where you're going to be racing at next year, what's the best way for people to see your schedule?
If they like Chambless Family Racing on Facebook, that's probably the very best way of following us. I mean, I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram, just both in my name. But as far as racing, most update is on that race page.
All right, now I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview, Christine.
Thank you for interviewing me. It was very fun. You got me thinking about some things I hadn't thought about in a while.
Now, you have any last words?
I'm just looking forward to next season. We're planning on having a totally new look, so if you've followed me before, I'm really excited to debut a new look, and be watching out for it in the next few months on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with next year.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we'll do another interview in the future and get an update on you. So save my number. And
that sounds great to me. Hopefully, I'll have some new and exciting news to report after we get into this next season.
And I wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. You have a great night, Christine.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.